exactly.
Yeah,
And Maggie,
it can't be more than that.
yes, Maggie, what are you planning to do next?
Well, now the 3 volumes of Rashi's Daughters are finished, I can unequivocally state that I'm not doing Rashi's Granddaughters. I've had enough of the 11th and 12th century, and I am going way back to the 3rd and 4th century. I'm going to Babylonia and the time in which the Talmud is actually being created. My next novel, which should be out in like 2 or 3 years, I'm just starting the research now, will be called Rav Hizda's Daughter. I don't even know if it'll be 1 or 2 volumes. And the characters in this book will actually be the rabbis and their families who are the speakers in the Talmud. Rav Hizda, Rava, Abaye. These are the rabbis who are quoted when the Talmud is being created. So these are the words actually they're going to be speaking, and I'm going to look into their lifetime. And again, the 3rd and 4th century in Babylonia is another time period that nobody knows about. This is Persia, the most popular, not the most popular, well, that too, the most powerful nation in the world. They have defeated Rome. They are at peace. The Jews, for a change, are living very prosperous, happy lives, and the Christians are being persecuted by the Persians, who are Zoroastrians, because Rome has become a Christian nation. So the Christians are the enemy. Very different than what we know about. And of course, nobody knows about Zoroastrianism. There are very few left. So it was fascinating as I've started my research to discover how similar Zoroastrianism and Rabbinic Judaism are. They clearly borrowed from each other. They clearly were influenced by each other. And why would they not be? Jews live in Babylonia for 1,000 years. And why did I choose Rav Hizda's daughter? Well, she's the daughter of the head of the rabbinic school in the town in which she lives. Rav Hizda is the head of the academy in Sura. And she ends up married to Rava, who is quoted almost 4,000 times in the Talmud. He's one of the most prolific of the Talmudic scholars. And he, of course, is the head of the academy in the town in which he lives. And the thing particularly about her, nobody ever says anything negative about her in the Talmud. She is always held up as a model. She knows law. Her husband quotes her. Her husband actually consults her. But the coolest thing about her is that as a child, she's sitting on her father's lap in, I guess, the classroom, and 2 of his students come before him. They both want to marry her, and he cannot choose which one is better, so he turns to her, and he says, both these guys want to marry you. Who do you want? She says, I want both of them. First one, then the other. Rava, you can imagine this, steps back and says, I'll take her second. And that's exactly what happens. First, she marries the other one. The first one, Rami ben Hama, she has a few children with him, then she's widowed, and then eventually she marries Rava and lives happily after with him, as far as we can tell. And certainly a girl who, when presented with 2 suitors, says she wants both of them, is definitely somebody that I want to know more about.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to reading that.
I'm looking forward to writing it. Actually, that should be fun. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on in that time as well. I mean, the research for that one is going to be so hard is because it's all scattered among the pieces of the Talmud. I mean, there's stuff about women's lives in there, of course, but not in any one spot.
Yes.
That must be my husband.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll get a rich fabric of the life in Babylonia.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.